Welcome to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
So how many words do you have for snow?
It's easy. I'm better than an Eskimo. I have 31.
Okay, first of all, I think that's a not a good word to use for the proud people, native people of the North.
Well, let me ask this, Kevin. Where are most Eskimos located?
In Canada and Alaska.
You sure not Alaska?
Alaska, Canada.
And what do we think about Alaska? They've bled out of Alaska.
You know, these are the good people of Alaska. There's the good people of
31
Alaska.
words for snow.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Snow, sleet, ice,
Okay.
icy, frosty.
I don't think that frosty is a drink. First of all.
Frosty.
No.
The ground's covered in frosty.
Oh man, do you guys want to get frosties after this?
Vanilla.
No, they closed down.
White dirt.
No one's ever called snow white dirt.
That's what Jed Clampett called it. Jethro and Jed.
Yeah, white dirt.
White dirt.
Mountain coke.
What?
Mountain dandruff. God's dandruff. Digital dandruff.
Blizzard.
God's dandruff.
Flurry.
I buy that.
That was about 30.
I don't think that was even 10.
I stopped keeping count around 36.
Uh-huh.
So that was something like 36.
Oh, powder.
Powder.
Much like Brian's favorite movie.
Is it fair to say that Eskimo is a European word for native peoples of the North?
I think it's.
Are they self-reference as Eskimos?
I don't know. I don't pretend to understand that.
Oh, okay.
What about glaciers?
No, that's different.
Broken glaciers.
I think it's pronounced glacier.
Arctics.
Glacier.
The penguin's litter box.
No one's ever used it for that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Polar bear blanket.
What?
The polar bear's bathroom.
The polar bear's bathroom.
The outside of a Yeti.
What is the inside of a Yeti?
That's where I keep my cold beer.
Cold beer. Yeah. So we got up to maybe 19 half-assed.
No, I thought we like
words.
39, 34, 38, 9.
Right. You've yet again proven your ability to identify numbers. That's pretty
Those
good.
are numbers.
Those are all numbers. What else? Okay, I'm trying to other snow. Vanilla ice.
That's
That's where he got his name from. It's from Snow.
Wow.
Yeah. Snow.
And there was also a rapper from Canada named Snow, and he had an album called 12 Inches of Snow, which I think is extremely clever.
It's a very good name. Yeah. Did the Canadians? Was he albino?
I don't know. I think he was just
the rapper named Snow.
I think he was just Canadian, and it's hard to tell the difference between the two because they're so white.
Okay.
Yeah, they are pretty white.
Okay, it is fair.
Was he beloved in Canada? Is there a town that boasts being the birthplace of Snow?
I think they would say that this is where he licky boom boom down.
It's very proud.
All right. Well, here we are again.
Here we are once again.
Here we are.
Yes.
47 ways to say snow. Speaking of snow, how did you fellows fare during the great ice apocalypse of 2023?
The Pocky-lips.
The Pocky-lips. This Pocky-lips.
Pocky-lips.
My friend Ted called me up, and we went to Cancun for the week. It was great.
Cancun cruise. At it
Cancun
again.
cruise. That'll show them.
No, I was locked in the house with the rabbit. My power was fine.
What did you eat?
I got food, Brian.
Like, do you have like emergency stocks of food?
Did you eat? I bet you. And did you end up eating some delicious rabbit?
No, he is not for eating.
Well, and Kevin don't eat meat.
No, I don't.
Well, yeah,
but that in a apocalypse scenario, everybody eats meat.
Ah, there you go.
There's three things you need to understand. First of all, if you get Wild rabbit, they taste like a burnt tire. And if you get
you don't know
rabbit,
what rabbit tastes like.
I've had rabbit many times in my life. I was raised in the country, Brian. I was raised hunting and fishing.
Rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, Elmer Fudd season.
I have no qualms against anyone's dietary choices.
Right.
But you don't get to abandon meat, sir, and then have opinions about meat.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you can still.
You got to let that go.
I still remember what it tasted like. I also remember spitting out the BBs from the buckshot because I got a piece that my grandpa really fired on.
Did you hit a pan far away with it?
Yes.
You just watched Disney's Swiss Family Robinson and got it confused with your real life.
Oh, I see. Is that what it was? Is that why I was in Ohio and not Papua New Guinea?
Papua New Guinea.
You've already confused the two.
They're so similar in so many ways.
Similar climates, yeah, and the same number of chilies.
The tropics in a place that like the average yearly temperature is something like 50.
Ohio, a big state, bigger than people realize.
I mean, it's not that big.
Bigger than people realize.
How big do people think it is?
Well, I thought it was about a couple football fields long.
Yeah, see?
That's Rhode Island.
That's what I'm talking about. Also, if that's your standard, Rhode Island, bigger than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
How many cities are in Rhode Island?
I don't know. 100?
No way.
Ooh, I bet that's way too high.
Oh, yeah. Cities as opposed to towns. Like
I would say cities, or I would say incorporated places that have a city government. That would be the rule. It can't just be
like 100.
No,
I bet
100 now.
4.
Whoa, that's a wide gulf. Our many listeners from Rhode Island are licking their chops for the answer to this one.
Well,
okay, I've worked it out. According to the internet, Rhode Island has 39 cities.
39 cities. That's the same number of ways Mike can say snow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
39 cities. How many people, if you had to guess right now, you think in Rhode Island are fucking right now?
How many cities or how many people total?
Just people total. In 39 cities, how many people you think are doing the nasty?
So there are,
I'm going to say 1,000.
1,100,000 people
doing the
Rhode
wild
Island.
thing.
And I'm going to say out of 1,100,000 people, that 1,099,999 people are doing the wild thing right now.
Because that's what happens when bodies start slapping from doing the wild thing. You like to do.
I'm done.
Yeah.
She like to do that wild thing.
I was in Vancouver once at a bar, and Tone Loc came in, and this guy turns to me. This guy I was in film school with turns to me and goes, "Hey, it's Tony Loc."
Oh God, what an idiot! I hope Tone Loc beat the shit out of him. Tone Loc was also in the movie Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh, he was, yeah.
It was. He had several lines, didn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty good in it.
I feel like he had a very distinctive, like his voice.
Yeah, he had
that kind of cool gravel voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then probably not from smoking.
He gets paid to do the wild thing. Well, I didn't like my ice apocalypse. I didn't enjoy it. I did not one bit.
What happened?
Very Dr. Seuss.
A bunch of giant fucking tree limbs fell down on my house.
Oh no!
Battering my roof. It sounded like Yetis were throwing branches at the roof.
Did an army of raccoons?
I'd have to go out and look at it. I'd have to go out and look at these tree branches, and the whole time I'm scared for the life of me that I'm going to get a tree branch that's going to fall on me and severely hurt me.
You don't want that.
I was scared because karmically, because I
You're a little
have
dude,
made a lot of very cruel jokes about Governor Greg Abbott.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I was really, I had to be extra careful because, as they say, karma is a biatch.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like God wouldn't want to spite me that. I mean, because he knows Greg Abbott's evil. But there's also a rule that evil never dies.
Well, that's biblical as well. Sure.
Yeah.
That's biblical. They used that was the first line. That first Bible verse they show in Halloween Part 9.
Is that a Rob Zombie one?
Evil never dies.
I don't know. Rob Zombie directed the good one, whichever one that was.
Bob Zombie?
Yeah, Bob Zombie.
Has he directed a single good movie at all?
No. Everybody will be like, oh, but that one, and it's like, that movie is not good.
Star Wars was pretty good.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie Star Wars.
He's good in it. I don't know if it's good, but he's definitely good in it. No, he did. Wasn't his big break House of a Thousand Corpses?
Yeah. I feel like there was maybe like 12 corpses.
Or you had a little counter in your hand you're a doorman. Yeah.
And at some point, I just gave up counting because there was so few corpses popping up.
Right. It was easy to keep track.
The big thing about that movie is it brought back Sid Haig. Like, it reintroduced him into the zeitgeist, and he, had like a good 15-year run there.
Was the bit that somebody was using mummies to insulate their home?
Oh, I bet they would be good insulation.
Yeah, that'd be a good movie too.
You're not supposed to say mummy anymore. It's supposed to be mummified person, Brian.
Jesus Christ. You're kidding, right?
Don't be mad at me. Be mad at the Egyptians. They're the ones who decided.
Well, guess who doesn't dictate what I say?
Mummies.
Mummies, yes. Fucking mummy.
I did get to open this last weekend for the great Eddie Pepitone.
Ooh, that
comedian I like. It went good. He had a very funny joke about Greg Abbott, about how he feels that Greg Abbott is like a Bond villain and should roll out with a cat, and that the cat's name should be Costello, so it would be Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, they met a mummy, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, they've met a lot of monsters.
Yeah.
A Frankenstein.
Let's see. There's Abbott and Costello meet the mummy. Abbott and Costello meet Dracula.
Frankenstein.
Abbott and Costello meet Swim Fan. Abbott and Costello meet Skinamarink.
No, it didn't happen.
That's a good one.
That was a scary one.
That was from this year.
A little slower than some of the other ones.
Right. And you saw Costello in a light you don't typically see.
Yeah. I like the Skinamarink, though. I saw Skinamarink.
Really? I always think you're mispronouncing skating rink when you say it. Like when a kid says biscotti, and it's kind of like, that's adorable. Right? You're saying Skinamarink. It's like skating rink.
Wait, how are you supposed to say it?
Spaghetti?
Yeah, biscotti.
Yeah, like you guys put in your chili.
I'm not from Cincinnati. They only do that in Cincinnati, right? I believe
all you Ohioans do that.
I call it Chile.
For the international listener in Ohio, their chili is just spaghetti with meat chunks in it.
That's Cincinnati style chili.
Yeah. What state is Cincinnati in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I will make sure to judge everything that you do in Austin, Brian, by what happens in Houston.
That's perfectly fine. Houston's a very cosmopolitan city.
Yeah.
I wish I lived there.
By what happens in Crum.
I love Houston.
I love Crum.
Crum has a lot to say for it. It's a small town. It's got good small town values.
They got a good tattoo parlor.
Yeah, they do.
It's run by a guy who you can pay him in US dollars, Bitcoin, or Natty Lights.
If you catch him on a good day, he'll take a lawnmower for trade. Good man.
Well, let me ask you, Brian. Well, were you out of town? You were out of town during part of the ice.
Part of it, yeah.
How was it difficult getting back home? Did you have to fjord the path? Did you have to stay anywhere you didn't want to stay for too long?
I was hunkered down for a while and made it back. There was no portaging required. It was the roads were fairly clear.
Did you hanker for a hunk of cheese?
I did. There is a dividing line that I think is remarkable, and it's wherever you go far enough north where cities start having equipment and planning for cold weather. So when you're driving back south from one of those cities, at first the roads are great until you hit the first city. They don't have any way to plan for cold weather, and then it kind of gets shitty again. It's really weird.
Yeah.
No, the roads were fine. People were driving very cautiously, as was I, and I made it back to a home with no power for a few days. And
so you had no power for how many days?
no power here for 4 days.
Oh,
4 fucking days? Jesus Christ!
Oh my God!
Well, I mean, I missed 1.5 days of it.
Oh, so you just left your wife and child.
I was in prison. No, I left my wife and child.
As though it were the Stone Age,
thinking that this is 2020 something, and surely in what last year's Forbes magazine called one of the fastest growing cities for tech, we could handle slightly below freezing weather. But it turns out we can't even come close to handling slightly below freezing weather.
Well, you know, I mean, considering that 2 years ago, our state said, "Oh, we've got upgrades for the energy grid. No problem. We've set aside money for it," and then didn't do anything about it.
Abbott and Costello at it again, up to their old fucking hijinks.
None of this stuff. Everything down here is all these fucking Lorax wannabes who refuse to cut down trees. We just got to clear cut them all. Get rid of them. Nobody needs them.
I don't think that's the best solution.
Why not?
Why not?
Cut them down, count how many you cut down, and plant 2 forever you cut down, and then we're good to go.
Well, but you got 2 little sprouts versus a 150-year-old tree.
Well, you know, Kevin, that small sprout will one day grow into a mighty tree and spread its limbs and provide shade.
And don't forget, the mighty oak was once a nut like me.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I'm Brian Camp.
I am Mike the Nut Wiebe.
Hey, where'd you work in high school, Mike?
I was a grade A nut at Moro's Nut House.
Oh, yeah?
Served gummy bears.
Is that where you got the taste? Is that where you first got your taste?
Maybe where I did get the taste for them, but I got to lay off, man. I'm a big fat sack of shit right now.
Wow.
All I did was just sit in the fucking cold and eat.
What did you eat?
Just nothing good for you at all.
Just lard? Just a big barrel of lard?
I'm seriously, I think I'm going to get cool sculpting this week.
Oh, from Sonobello? It's your life. Live it.
I don't even know what it is, but I'm excited about it.
Sonobello. They shoot cold lasers at you, whatever the fuck that is.
Oh, wow.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
They're like cold fusion?
And then
There's nuclear.
No. It's just a very specific wavelength and power of ray that
I think that is what cold fusion is.
a certain layer of cells. Mm-hmm. It might be. And that's what.
How do they do
the villain, the DC villain, Cold Fusion? That was his. That's what he did.
I hate him.
His name was Mr. Freeze. God damn it!
No, that's a different one. How do they do gastric bypass surgery? How do you get the lap? I don't know how you actually get that band.
Yeah, they got to install a little band
around
there.
your tummy.
Yeah.
I think they take like the bulk of your tummy and either staple it or elastic away from the part of your tummy that is both going to have food go in it and food go out of it. So it's like a...
Okay, so it's kind of a
lot of tummy and food.
It's kind of like a kidney shape, right? Your stomach is kind of like a...
Yeah, I think so.
Texas shape a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
And they just like tape off the horn, I guess.
I think so. Maybe.
The horn.
Like the panhandle.
But how do they get down there? Where do they go in? They surgically through your abdomen? Do they go in through your rectum? Damn near killed them.
You know what? They might go through your rectum. I think that
damn near killed them.
I think nowadays I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I know a whole lot about medicine.
I thought you were a doctor of the quantum realm.
All right, but I would never use invasive Western surgery to solve something like this. So this is just me guessing what a doctor would do. I think that they avoid cutting into any part of your body that is like large muscle groups if they can, because that is what takes so long to heal. And so they might come in like a weird angle, like maybe your lower back or something. Do the perineum. What is that cavity called?
Are you talking about between your balls and your butt?
No, there's a different one in your back, like your lumbar area. There's another cavity there that a doctor can cause a hemorrhage there while doing back surgery. because people
Interesting.
sometimes die from that.
Well, listeners, if anybody knows any good people that do cool sculpting or lap band kind of stuff, let me know, because
I mean, I'll get some dry ice and we can just set it on you for a while if you want.
I mean, what is that? It's a dry ice.
It's real cold.
And then you also get out a giant magnifying glass and shine it through the dry ice.
Oh, wow.
So the light beam that's hitting you is really cold.
I think that's exactly what would happen. That's right.
Oh.
And then it somehow triggers an autoimmune response where your body fights any excess weight you're carrying.
Yeah.
Well, what were you eating? Were you eating just like bags of Oreos or something? Or Hydrox?
Hydrox suck.
Superior cookie?
What did I eat? I don't know. I didn't eat very good.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling it today.
Well.
I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling it today. You know?
Yeah,
I'm having a fat day.
Okay.
Michael.
And
all right.
I feel like I'm about to have a flabalanche.
Ooh.
Was that?
Which is something that Hans and Franz threatened could happen.
I have a legitimate question.
Okay.
I want to hear what Hans and Franz. What was it?
Flabalanche. Flabalanche.
Flabalanche.
He's going to have a flabalanche. We could do this all day.
In this modern age of body positivity, is a negative self image based on your perceived weight? Like, is that a bad thing now? Like, I
think it is. I mean, I think it always kind of has been.
Wait, no, you're saying if I feel bad about my weight, I'm also bad. I not only do I have to contend with my guilt, I have to also contend with the fact that I'm body shaming myself.
Yes.
You're contributing to the overall societal stereotype that there's something wrong with.
I'm not allowed to say out loud, because I have been.
It's a real question.
And I'm not joking. I have been warned about this before from people. Well, they're like, you shouldn't say out loud that you are not unhappy with your weight, because there's other people that are unhappy with their weights, and they might feel bad that you're saying it. And like, I mean, I'm putting it on me. Like, I don't look like, I'm not saying anybody else. Like, I'm just not happy with this right now on me, because I have to live with it. But I don't look at anybody else and go like, oh, you're not doing anything right. In fact, I'm not thinking about that. But that is a weird question, because it's come up where I've been like, oh, you shouldn't say that out loud. But if I say things out loud, you have to speak truth to action.
It's like The Secret says.
I agree with you that, it is like, I should be able to criticize myself. On the other hand, I am amazed at people who don't do that, who are like, no, I'm perfectly fine with being ugly and overweight and dumb, and I don't have a terrible personality.
Yeah,
they're just like,
I know that's good that you could be like, I'm fucking ugly as shit and I'm dumb.
This is awesome.
Dumb as a turd. See, here's the thing: when I complain right now about being a little bit overweight or whatever, or not overweight, but whatever, I don't know, but unhappy with my body, I don't have anything else to complain about. Everything else is tip top fucking perfect.
You gotta find something, right?
That's something. And also, this isn't my fault. This is the fucking weather's fault.
Oh, so until 4 days ago, it wasn't an issue.
I was a Greek god.
like what? Like
Ares, god of war.
Just imagining with your 2 crossbow pistols. Yeah, that's good.
No, I don't. That is a thing, though. I mean, I wouldn't want to make anybody feel bad by saying that, but I do also feel like I should be allowed to publicly. I don't know if complaining is the word, but saying I'm discussing it. I'm not trying to even complain. I'm just like, ugh.
If I lost a leg, and I was depressed about losing a leg, would that be ableist?
No.
Yeah, because then there's people with missing 2 legs that are like, oh, listen to Crybaby Brian,
or just by being upset that I have what was once called a handicap, which is, I think, a very nice word for it. I think we discussed that, but historically at least, but that somehow that is again contributing to the overall notion that being without the use of a limb is an issue that should be lamented and not something that should just be viewed as like, oh, well, no big deal.
Yeah.
This is more complicated than I think our podcast is equipped.
I don't think
No,
it is.
I think our listeners
we figured
love
it out.
this.
I think our listeners like this higher intellect type discussion here.
So this week, we've got 2 news stories, an arts and culture story, and Mike has part 2 of Atari 2600 history. What is that? I don't know.
It's part 2
of Get to Know Your
of the
Podcast.
history of adult video games.
In Get to Know Your Podcast.
That sounds ribald. Ribald or ribald?
Ribald.
Ribald.
Ribbled.
Ribald?
Ribbled.
Tales of ribaldry.
Ribald.
So our first story comes to us from UPI, United Press International.
Oh. They stole our name at one point, right?
That's what, I'm sorry, I got to go back just a second.
Right.
That's what, that's what, if the hamburger was into sex crimes, he would go ribbled.
No.
Grimace filling out a statement. All I heard was
ribbled, and I woke up.
In the 1843 novella, A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge accused the ghost of Christmas past of being a nightmare caused by something he ate. Specifically, Scrooge said, quote, "You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese." Now, a mattress review website called Sleep Junkie is testing this theory, at least for cheese. The website said it's looking for 5 dairy dreamers for a study that seeks to address the commonly held belief that consuming cheese or other dairy products before bed leads to nightmares. These dairy dreamers will track their sleep and evaluate their sleep quality, energy level, and their dreams and nightmares after a before-bed dairy snack. The company said, quote, "We're also aware that it isn't just nightmares that can play havoc on a good night's sleep, so we wanted to see if there was a link between the different types of cheese. Participants will receive free cheese and $1,000 each."
Oh.
Johnny, can I take what? Can I sign up?
You can sign up, sleepjunkie.com.
Shit.
We don't have an affiliation with them. You could give us weekly updates.
I would love $1,000 to go to sleep.
I don't know. I feel
Great.
like, weren't you just complaining about how horrible you were eating, and now you're eating a wheel of cheese before bed every night?
Oh, I don't want to eat that cheese. I forgot about that aspect about it.
So you missed the entire story we just read. You just heard $1,000.
I heard you talking about going to sleep, and I realized how much I need that in my life. Is a little bit of a little bit of shut eye. I need to catch some Z's.
Sleep and $1,000 is what you're saying you need.
7 to 8 hours.
Man, I was supposed to do some kind of fucking customers group study tomorrow, but I turned it down last minute because they wanted me to get up at 8 a.m. and that would cut into my sleep time.
Well, how much were they paying you?
It paid okay, but it wasn't worth taking a day off work and getting up that early and having to be around people that also signed up for a fucking consumer group study. Which is the main thing.
Yeah.
It was like 8 to 5.
You made a good decision.
And it was just going to be like, I signed up for it going like, I could use that extra money. And then I thought about it later and I was like, this is not worth that amount of money.
Right.
Because
or you could just work your job.
That you have from 9 to 5 every day, or 10 to 6, or 11.
But I could have gotten work done later, or what? I could have worked around. I could have worked around it and made extra dough. But I was just like, you know what? No, my time is more valuable than fucking the features on a Kia Sorento and what I think of the fonts they used.
Impact.
You can't pay me enough to get in a fucking Kia. Other than the one that I have, but that one's broken in. I've had sex in every seat in that Kia.
That's well.
That poor Kia.
Solo.
Huh. I don't think you can call it sex if it's just you. Right?
Yeah, Brian has a point.
I think there is a requirement that another, I'll say being.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
some people say agree to disagree, but I say agree to the fact that you're wrong.
Touche. I've been I've changed my mind. I guess an object would work, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, some sort of taxidermied something or some such. I don't know.
So have you guys ever eaten anything that caused you to have bad dreams?
How would you ever know?
One time I ate a bacon burger dog, and I had a dream.
Wait, hold on. Rewind. A bacon burger comma dog or a bacon burger dog?
A bacon burger dog.
Okay.
So one time, I made a bacon burger dog, and then I came home only to find out that my son Theo had eaten it. And I was furious. I think Theo and his degenerate friend Cockroach got into it.
I think
I'll bet.
It sounds like you're describing an episode of the Cosby Show.
No, I'm describing my life. And I said to my wife Camille, I said, Camille. I said, I need a bacon burger dog. And she said it was too late for me to eat a bacon burger dog. But you know what? I made myself my bacon burger dog. And I ate the whole thing.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that night I had a dream that there were a bunch of Muppets in the dream.
Uh-huh.
And I dreamed that I gave birth to a giant hoagie. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
I have eaten something, and it did cause me to have weird, bad dreams. And that thing was a bacon burger dog.
Yeah.
Bacon burger dog.
I mean, I could see how that would happen to you.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of usurping all those stories as your life, because then we can enjoy them again.
Oh, that is true.
It is like I'm giving something back.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a whole generation of people that will not understand what used to be very well-known, commonly known references. Now you get to reinvent all of it as your own material. So that's good. And you already had a lot of shared life experiences anyway.
Well, mainly not one, but
well, yeah, I'm saying that the character in you have a lot in common.
Yeah, we're both doctors.
Right. Not
what are you a doctor of again?
Sound bathing.
And you've actually helped deliver children with sound bathing, I think.
Oh yeah, that's probably the most natural form of a childbirth is
just vibrate that baby right out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's whenever women are having trouble, doctors are going push. All I have to do is I bring in an imperial pint glass and I fill it up 3/4 full. And I wet the tip of my finger and run it along the rim.
I don't even think that's sound bathing.
I run it along the rim and it makes a noise. Sure. And also, the rim I'm talking about is not the glass. But it does make a noise.
Oh, you are so proud of yourself.
It does make a noise. It makes
what is it?
And then I'll wet the other finger and I'll run it on the rim of the glass this time, and I do them in tandem until it makes sort of a chord. It makes the two notes make a chord, and that baby runs to the music.
It's where the dancing baby trope came from.
Wow.
Yep, 100%. And then Ally McBeal took it and. And guess what? She married Harrison Ford. So who's the big winner now?
Do you guys remember the episode of That's Incredible, which I believe we've gotten to know before?
I don't think we've done we done a get to know your podcast about that?
Not an official one
yet. It's come up. It came up in the Progeria episode.
Yeah. That was kind of a get to know. The first time I ever saw somebody play like a whole setup of glasses with different levels of water was on That's Incredible.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Was it incredible, Brian?
I thought to myself at the time, that's incredible. But I also thought that solving a Rubik's Cube with your feet was pretty incredible. So
you know what I thought was incredible was the gams on Kathy Lee Crosby. I like the cut of Fran Tarkington's bowl cut.
I forgot that Fran Tarkenton was on that show for some reason.
You know what this show needs? A football player. Why? Can't believe you even asked that
They
question.
had athletic stuff. There were people that were doing pole vaults and shit.
True.
Well, Fran says it's incredible, then I can think it's incredible too.
Yeah.
He makes it okay. Otherwise, it's just stupid.
Hey, Fran, you've been sacked in the third quarter by a giant linebacker. What do you think of this kid with a birth defect? It's great how he can almost have the semblance of a normal life for a couple seconds.
Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with him. Yeah, Here we are back at the. I don't know if it's okay to say that a life with progeria is not the best life. But I feel like it's probably
not okay for you to say it, Brian.
Right. I'll have to lobby the. They have a group.
They had a lot of like birth defect kids, though, right?
Oh, sure.
There's a lot of like Siamese twin type scenarios.
Yeah. Conjoined twins.
Conjoined, yes.
Mark, leave that in.
I
eat a lot of cheese, and I don't ever have nightmares.
You do eat a lot of cheese. You're constantly hankering for a hunk of cheese.
I am. Yes, I have a chronic hankering for a hunk of something.
Normally, if you guys see Brian Camp in the public, odds are he's gonna have himself just a big old block of cheddar and a jackknife on him,
and he's gonna be followed by a trail of progeria kids.
That's right. I'm like the Pied Piper Hamlin of progeria kids. I'll get them out of any town. Nobody wants them.
Well, they follow the cheese. That's part of it too.
I have a little dance I do.
Yeah, you've cut little holes in the cheese whiz and play music with them.
I carved the cheese into an instrument to lure the progeria kids.
That's a T-shirt.
Hey, was the Six Flags guy making fun of progeria kids?
Oh,
which is question. Not okay.
I don't think that he was. I think he was just like a mashup of weird shit, or an advertising agency that just went, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what we sell as long as it gets people's attention. Let's put a weird looking old guy and make him dance.
People like dancing babies.
I think it was a statement that house techno is dead. It's for old people. The new form of music is oi music.
Oh, sure.
Oi, oi, oi. I don't know. That is a good question. That is a real heads. Knowing enough and having worked on some pitches for various advertising stuff for corporations, which I weirdly actually have a handful of times now, and knowing how corporate-y and uptight. I mean, I can't speak to Six Flags, but as a family, knowing that they are a family-based thing, like it, I cannot imagine the insane scenario. I'm sure it was a weird by default decision where somebody was like, I want to have a dancing, rabbit. And they're like, no, rabbits don't work because that'll offend the, I don't know, something like some just insane amounts of reasons why 11 different things didn't work. And they landed on an old guy dance. Like the dancing was from another idea. The old guy was from another idea. And the tuxedo was from another idea. Like three completely disparate like pitches, and everybody sort of gave some concessions and compromises. And the next thing, there was just this insane idea of like, it's a creepy as fuck old man in a tuxedo, techno dancing vigorously. Like it was just a weird compromise that nobody wanted. Nobody was happy with it. But nobody was going to say no because everybody was getting their little piece of it in.
Right.
It was 6:00. They'd been there all day.
Yeah.
Half the room had decided this doesn't matter anyway. It's Six Flags. People are going to come. We just need a commercial. Give them their $10 off on the Dr. Pepper can.
That's why that's never why I don't go to Six Flags anymore, because that ad campaign turned me off.
Yeah, I get it.
Now I just go to Burger Lake.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's a place.
Yeah, it is. They have a huge high dive. It's awesome.
High dive. It just sounds like like you're going to a pool.
Now I just go to county fairs.
Yeah, it's just no Burgers Lake. They have that high dive is
real high,
super tall, Kevin. It's real high.
It's
high?
Like a pool.
Kevin.
What's high?
Is high.
Yeah.
It hurts your feet when you jump down and land feet first. It slaps your feet.
It hurts your feet. It probably doesn't exist anymore because it is. There is no safety mechanism on it at all.
The first time anyone has ever brought it up, it just doesn't happen to exist anymore.
Fucking look it up, man.
Listeners in the Dallas, North Central Texas area, Burger Lake. It was like a man-made lake that had kind of a play area in the middle, and it was where your church group would take you when they couldn't afford to take you to Wet and Wild or Six Flags.
Well, it looks like there's a Burgers Lake in Fort Worth.
That's what it is.
And all I see is it's $15 a person. Candy is $2, which also includes Twix. And it looks like they have a fountain.
Yeah, there's a fountain. Right. You could go up and you could put your rectum right on the fountain. Damn near killed them, and it will make you feel funny.
Ooh, 6 diving boards and over 300 picnic tables. I guess I owe you guys an apology.
Yeah, you do. I'm looking for a photo of the original diving board because none of these have it in it.
So now that we're completely divorced from the story, let's go to our next story.
All right. Well, I'm going to have a nightmare about this.
Our next story comes to us from Radio New Zealand.
Radio New Zealand.
Radio New Zealand.
Radio.
So back in episode 93, we talked about
I remember it well.
We talked about a mysterious stranger plaguing a UK man by opening the mail slot on his door late at night and shouting, "Porridge."
Yeah, I remember this. I don't remember much, but I remember this about this hero. Wait, what was the other thing you said about like your mom and dad or something?
Oh, porridge time, Papa.
Papa Bear.
Porridge time, Papa Bear. Porridge time, Papa Bear.
But so this isn't that guy. It's just that now it seems something similar is happening in New Zealand.
Jesus Christ.
Several residents on New Zealand's Waiheke Island say they are fed up by being tormented by mysterious sausages appearing in their mailboxes for almost a year. The sausages are wrapped in a slice of white bread and covered in butter and tomato sauce, which I looked this up and I guess it's a customary way to serve them in New Zealand.
What?
I don't know. I'm not here to defend their sausage practices. I'm merely here to present
you don't have an opinion about this meat?
Yeah. That's true. I know everything about rabbit meat.
Mm-hmm.
I've never eaten sausages in New Zealand. I'm sorry. It's just the way they do it.
Butter and ketchup?
No, butter and tomato sauce. And wrapped in a slice of Wonder Bread.
Oh, gross. Gross.
I haven't had white bread, Wonder Bread style in I don't even know how long. It's got to be decades.
It's so gummy.
It is gummy.
Yeah.
So one resident named Josh said, quote, "It happens."
Oh, Josh. I know Josh.
What's his last name?
Felderfin.
That's him. I'm shocked that you knew Josh.
I just call him Joshy J, though.
So one resident named Josh said, quote, "It happens at least once a month, at the very bare minimum," before adding that he initially thought it was a drunk person, but, quote, "It happened again and again to the point where I messaged my friends thinking they were playing a joke on me. And then all of them had photos of sausages and their letterboxes. That was when I knew it was a serious problem. Because of its prevalence across the island, Jacob..." Oh, wow. I've got this guy. It's Jacob and Josh. I don't know if he's Jacob or Josh.
No, there's two of them. I know both of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's Josh J.
Josh J. Okay. Because of its prevalence across the island, Josh J. said that he suspected more than one culprit could be involved. Josh J. said, quote, "It's tearing my friend group apart. It's tearing Waiheke apart because we just don't know who it is." Josh J. also gave the warning to the mystery sausager, quote, "I know you're out there. Just know one thing. You will be unmasked and your horrible deeds will be known to the community and you will be shunned."
You know who it is?
Shunning.
Yeah. Who is it?
It's Tom Green. Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausage? This is Tom Green written all over it.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, his friend Glenn Humplick is probably helping him out on this too.
Yeah.
This is the most
good
Tom
recall.
Green type shit that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He's running around, he's rubbing his bum on the mailboxes. And first of all, what do they call them? Letterboxes? Come on.
Yeah, mailboxes.
That's what we call when we've formatted films for our televisions.
There you go.
Or as an idiot would say in Best Buy in the 90s, why is there black bars on my video cassette?
You got to return
I
it.
don't like it. I want one without the black bars.
That's right.
And I go, well, actually, you're getting to see more of the film. Is like the sides. You don't see this. I don't like it. It's not as good because there's black bars everywhere. I hope every single person that fucking told me that at Best Buy is missing a fucking foot. I hope they've lost one.
Like alcoholism or
whatever.
Right? Are they diabetic? What's the...
Probably. I don't care if it's they lost it through misadventure, sexual or otherwise.
That's fair.
If
okay.
diet made them lose a foot, but just like, because I don't want them dead. I don't want them to die. But I hope that their lives are significantly impacted of the fact that they don't have they're missing one foot.
Does it matter which foot?
No, not really.
Okay.
Just as a callback to an old story, now do you hope that those missing feet have been taxidermied and are sitting in a shop saying, next to the sign it says something like, "Don't forget to wear your boots."
Yeah, I mean, I hope somebody's getting a kick out of it. Here's the other thing.
Oh, that's a good one. Hope you get a kick out of this one.
Here's the other thing that I like. This is another thing that I legitimately hope. Yeah. Anytime I see some fucking, it's always a fucking dipshit college kid. It's always a college guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a motor scooter, a Vespa or whatever, rolling down the street in fucking flip flops.
Oh,
driving down the street in flip flops on a scooter. I hope you take a turn too hard and it scrapes your big toe off. And you have to, and it's a four-way stop, and you take a turn too hard, and you scrape your toe off, and then you run your scooter off, and you frantically have to run around a busy four-way stop, trying to, in the middle of the heat of the summer, when it's the fucking hottest it can be, when the pavement is just lava, and I want you running around barefoot on lava. Because Rex and both his flip flops fly up, running around trying to catch down his toe, trying to grab his fucking big toe, and then wouldn't you know it gets run over by a few cars, and it's full of it's just smushed and like flattened and got tire grease all over it, and then in pain he has to hold his toe. It doesn't have any fucking pockets on. Of course he didn't wear pockets. Of course, he didn't wear anything with pockets. Of
course not.
When he went driving, it's just a t-shirt and sweatpants that are ripped off at the knee. So he has to drive on his stupid motorbike, on his stupid Vespa, little Vespa, while holding his fucking toe.
This is elaborate
and good.
No, that's
no sympathy from me.
I like this. This is good.
Can I get ahead of you in line? No, you can't.
Well, wait,
after he's out of the hospital and his foot's all bandaged up, and they could not save the toe. They could not. And he wants to. We're in line. And he's got Neosporin, and he's waiting for his prescription because he wants to get some OxyContin or whatever. Can I skip ahead of you since you're just gonna get What are you standing in line for, Mike? And I'll be like, I'm just getting
over the counter alpha brain monkey mindset.
Yeah, over the counter. I'm getting more alpha brain monkey mindset, and I'm also getting like some lotion for my badass sick ink that I got. It's a tribe because I got a fucking tribal tat that goes up the side of my neck like George Clooney in From Dusk Till Dawn. And I don't need it.
Or it could,
but I just want it to pop. I want it to pop. Hey, can I get ahead of you? I'm like, nope. And guess what? I'm real fucking wonky with my insurance, and they're gonna have to call them, and it's gonna take 20 minutes, and they have to just stand there. That's what I want to happen.
That's spiteful.
It is. Well, it's earned. It is the most likely, and I think this is a mystery that is easy to solve.
Okay.
Isn't the most likely culprit of the sausage abandonment Josh J himself?
Yep.
Well,
or at least one of his friends who also had. I mean, that's the oldest trick in the book, right?
He does seem to be overcompensating. He does seem to be incredibly angry for somebody who's just like,
yeah,
I went out to get the mail, and it was the sausage in there.
The worst. That is the worst New Zealand accent I have heard.
I don't.
It's
just like Flight of the Conchords.
It is offensively bad to the people of New Zealand. Well,
I will say that unlike us over here in the United States, at least Josh J has not become an elected official based on his silly lies.
Not yet.
Like our what is it? George Santos? Is that our guy?
Yeah.
I hate him, but I also kind of.
I know it is a weird thing. It is weird. It is kind of an insane thing because I don't like him, but there is a part of me that, it's so insanely brazen that it is kind of funny. And the other thing too is like I didn't vote for him either. Like I wish we lived in a world where if you voted for somebody and they turned out to be a fucking fraud, you would feel a little bit of shame.
Right.
Or be a little bit like mad at yourself or at least mad at them, like, oh man, you fucking, maybe not even mad at yourself. Cause sometimes you don't know. You're like, well, they presented themselves well and then they turned out to be this other thing. But I feel like, what's the deal that just people don't even respond? They're just kind of like, no, he's fine. What?
I feel like with George Santos, he's united our entire country. And for the first time in like 30 years, we're at a politician where we all just go, we both cringe and then kind of laugh at whatever the latest lie is.
But I feel like the Republicans just won't acknowledge it. They just kind of like don't acknowledge it, right?
I think there's plenty of Republicans acknowledge. I think I think there are
publicly though.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I think people are. I don't think they're using the same charged language, but I don't think anyone is. Certainly there's some nut jobs, but I think by and large no one is celebrating his.
I don't think anybody's celebrating. I think some people are just like being very overly quiet about it,
Oh, I think there are people celebrating is in that, like, yeah, look, they hate Democrats so much we got this kook in, and it's like, I think there is some celebration of that, but yeah, it is like the entire country collectively goes, oh God, what stupid lie did he
said he said he was a producer on Spider-Man the musical,
the biggest money losing musical Broadway show of all time.
Good for him.
Which that is sacrilegious to take the musical theater and to as Brian and I are actual people who have worked in musical off Broadway musical theater. It's really offensive.
I was a stagehand for years. I worked
for someone to do that.
In Spotlight for Bono.
Yeah, but
you're not. Yeah, but you're not on the creative end.
Right,
like
you're not on the art side. Yeah, you're a tech guy. We might hire you, but
you could get hired.
Sure.
Listen, Kevin, if you have any ideas for how to light an elephant on stage.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Right.
Well, first
I would love to hear that whole pitch on how to present an elephant, a live African elephant, full size, a buck, as we call a male.
They're actually called bulls.
I'm open to that.
They're called bulls.
In the states we call them bucks. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No, it's deer. A deer is a buck.
Yeah, but we don't want to get a bull elephant confused for a bull cow over here,
sure.
especially in Texas.
Yeah. Do you guys think that part of the Schadenfreude with George Santos is also that he was elected out of New York? I think most of the country has some size of a chip somewhere on their shoulder when it comes to things from New York. I do, at least, and I like New York. It's a cool place.
I think the biggest two chips on their shoulders people have are for Texas and California. Though I think Texas is getting displaced by Florida now.
Texas is cool. We're all right. We're going to figure it out. Florida's a hole. They know it.
We're a work in progress. Let's say that.
Nobody's perfect.
Yep. In Texas.
So I think it's time for Get to Know Your Podcast, Mike.
Oh, boy.
I've been looking forward to this one for 2 weeks.
Get to know your podcast. Sometimes we talk about stuff, and you guys, it is so deep. It is so intense. It is a deep dive. We mention it. We think you might know about it. Maybe you do your research. Maybe you do your own research, which I highly encourage you to do with everything, especially medical stuff.
Absolutely.
But we like to come out on this section and talk about things that maybe we've only briefly mentioned and haven't gotten to. And this week we are doing part 2 of the early history of sexy video games. And we're going to be talking about maybe the sexiest video game of all. It's called Mac Playmate.
Ooh. Can you say that again without covering your mouth, just in case?
Mac Playmate. Which is what you would hear when you put the small floppy disk into a Macintosh computer. This fella, Mike Saenz, was an American comic book artist and software designer, and he was the creator of a game called Shatter that I guess was kind of popular.
There's a comic called Shatter.
Shatter. He was the creator of Shatter, as well as the early adult video game Mac Playmate. Mike Saenz. He created Shatter. What was Shatter, Kevin?
Shatter was like the first. I had some issues of it, and it was like the first. It was called the first computerized comic book, and they would do all of the art on a Macintosh, and it looked rough, but it looked kind of cool the way they did it. And then it was set in sort of a Blade Runner-esque future it was maybe had a little bit more humor than Blade Runner did, but it was fun. It was kind of noirish.
He also created, it was a game called it was a comic called Iron Man Crash. Remember that one?
That was pretty good too.
It was all CG computer Iron Man game. And he created the cover for Chicago punk band Naked Ray Gun's first album, Throb Throb.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a great record.
Multi-talented.
The multi-talented Mike Saenz. So, what happens is I was able to play this game. I was aware of this game through I don't know what to say. Let's just say a friend of the podcast.
Oh, I know who.
And you would put it in and it would say McPlaymate. And what would happen is a pixelated woman named Maxie would appear in the confines of your Apple Macintosh in 1987. McPlaymate was the brainchild of Mike Saenz, who spent all of 2 weeks programming the game. There really wasn't much to the game. You could take off Maxie's clothes. It would ask you, you'd go in, and it would ask you a couple questions to verify your age. And it would just kind of be like, who was the 5th president? And a bunch of questions that I guess children wouldn't know, but I was a child and we figured it out. We figured out those questions really easy.
Oh, I bet that was so exciting to figure that out.
Oh, yeah. Because we got a couple wrong, I think, the first time. Because there wasn't like an internet. It was on the computer, but there was no internet. So, I mean, or if there was one, it was like bulletin boards or whatever, and we didn't know how to get on there. There really wasn't much to the game. You could just sort of take off Maxie's clothes, and then you can pleasure her with a number of different sex toys. And there was a button in the corner that said, I really appreciate it. There's a button that said panic. And if you click on panic, it just would bring up a bunch of files, just a bunch of like quarterly report looking files.
That is so awesome.
That's brilliant.
So you could dress Maxie in stockings or a bondage outfit or a full fetish ensemble, and then command her to masturbate, I believe is how it's pronounced.
You say
in one of 6
masturbate?
different ways, complete with moaning sounds, of course. And you could also add a female sex partner named Lola, or a male partner named Melvin, who was a miniature man with an 8-ball for a head. It was like a little tiny guy that you could go and drag. So we drag and drop different dildos from the side of the screen. There was the vibrator, the Mighty Mo Throbber, the Deep Plunger, the Anal Explorer, and then there was lube you could put on there. And then there was just 2 disembodied hands that you could go put on her breasts. It debuted at Macworld in January of 1987, and McPlaymate sold for $50, and there were no copies left by the end of the first day.
Oh my!
What is $50? And Kevin, can we find out how much $50 is in 1987 money? But so overnight, Mike Sains and his business partner Frank Brooks used a Macintosh to churn out new discs. In total, they made $60,000. Playboy eventually sent several cease and desist letters requesting a name change on the product. So Brooks took scissors and cut the E at the end of McPlaymate on the packaging, making a less catchy name of McPlaymat, which doesn't really work as well, but whatever.
So $50 in 1988 is around $128 today.
Man,
they made over $100
grand.
That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money to pay for a crappy game.
In one day they made that.
Yeah.
Mike, was MacFest? Is that what it was? Is that
It's called Macworld.
Yeah.
Was Macworld? Was that just enthusiasts, or was that somehow sponsored by the Apple Corporation?
I'm sure it was just some like enthusiast. I'm sure it was.
Macworld was a magazine, so I think it was probably related to the magazine.
I'm sure it was probably one of those sort of like, now they have that thing CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas.
Right.
I'm sure this was like the great-great-grandfather of that kind of thing, where it was like, I'm sure Macintosh was there in a very professional capacity showing off all the new stuff they had coming out. And then, it was such like a wild, wild west of like game designers and stuff like that I'm sure like everybody had booths with their games and stuff like that. I've been to many a corporate trade show. So
who did the voice of MacPlaymate?
See, that's what I have had trouble figuring out, because that was kind of the thing with those early Macintoshes. They were the first, as opposed to like IBMs and stuff and other PCs, they were the first to have where you could play recorded sound on them, and it was a big deal.
Right.
Like I remember there was a disc for some game or whatever, and there was like an about us, or it says who we are. It was just like about the developers, not this game, but it would just say like learn more about the developers, and you would click it, and it was just an audio recording from G.I. Joe, the intro of G.I. Joe, and go, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. And we thought that was very clever. But even then, like, they didn't have like a lot of, I guess I'm assuming it took a lot of memory or a lot of power to have the voices and the go to play much, because I remember on McPlaymate, all there was McPlaymate, and then the moaning and groaning, which may have been completely computer driven, because it was a very So Brooks and Playboy settled out of court in an undisclosed agreement. By that point, McPlaymate had become one of the most pirated games in early computer history.
Oh, yeah.
In April of 1990, Sains turned McPlaymate into a color version on CD-ROM called Virtual Valerie under his new company, Reactor, calling the game A Sexual Date on a Disc. And it was cost $100. Damn. Sains eventually moved on to publish non-erotic games like Spaceship Warlock, which I've never played, but none of his reactor tiles made a splash quite like the ones involving naked women. Reactor folded in 2000 because Sands got bored and wanted to get back to fine art.
Sounds like he had that wonderful combination of a little bit of skill at something and then some business savvy.
Right.
Like they just perfectly combined.
Right.
Well, what I'd like to do now is, and that's kind of all the information I have on this, but what I would like to do now is I'd like to, unfortunately, I was not able to get any of the sound going, but I was able to pull up an emulation of McPlaymate, and I would like to play with it and have maybe you guys narrate what I'm doing. So if you'll share the screen, or if you'll allow me to share the screen.
For the listener, we are sharing the screen. Michael is
that do it?
Preparing to play a game that was once banned in several countries. All right.
There it is.
Okay.
The Macintosh repository.
Oh, wow. This is, this is what the old desktops used to look like.
Yeah. So if you'll describe what you see here, it looks, this is what the screen would look like. It's all black and white, very pixelated. It's got the McPlaymate disc, which you could pull these things around here.
Right.
These discs around and lay them, which I don't know if you'll remember. To me, that was really weird. Like the Mac drag and drop of putting folders on your screen other computers didn't have that.
Right.
No, you had to understand the command prompt for PCs.
You just looked at a C on a PC and went, what am I supposed to do?
All right, so I'm going to open up McPlaymate here.
Okay.
And there's the sounds and the files, and this is directly off there. So,
okay.
And I don't know if you could see the icon, but it was a woman with her legs open.
Ooh.
Right. In forming an M, as I believe.
Oh, I see it now.
Now, normally, this didn't do the opening section for whatever reason. Normally, the woman would be wearing clothes, and she would ask you a series of questions to make sure how old you are. Then she would ask you what you would want to do to her. Like, would you like to take her clothes off? It'd be a little risque back and forth. But due to this, for whatever reason, this emulation doesn't have it. Now, up top, we've got file, watch me, costumes, and sex partners. Then there's a big window of virtual Valerie, or I guess this is Maxie, and she's pixelated, buck naked, with her legs spread open. I'll let you. I mean, I have to run the computer here, but what would you guys like me to click on?
I want to see the costumes to start out.
Okay. We've got stockings, corset gloves, spike heels, bondage ensemble, full fetish ensemble, and nude, which I think we are looking at nude.
Yeah, I think we're looking at nude.
Nude right now.
I think we should do the full fetish ensemble, so we got it all. Okay. So
she's gone from her hands were before, now they're tied up and they're behind her head. She's got handcuffs that are around her ankles. She's got stockings on, sort of a bond boostage thing, and then one of those rubber ball things in her mouth.
A ball gag. And for the listener, her breasts are heaving. There is a heaving motion. It's the only motion in the otherwise static image, that and her apparently looking up in panic at her bound wrists, which is...
And for the listener, I would like you to know it's not the float of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean.
The float of the boat.
It's a sex thing, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
So I can do, would you like to see another costume? Sex partners?
I think the costume, I think this is just all the costume stuff. Because, corset gloves, she's wearing that. Yeah. Oh, hey.
Okay, well, when you take off the bandage gear, she starts to pleasure herself, and she doesn't have her. I'll go through it. Right. So this is the bondage ensemble. Okay. The bondage ensemble is nude, but with the handcuffs and the
ankle cuffs.
It's essentially full fetish gear without any clothing.
Yeah. Right. So this is just a couple variations.
So she's
on the same
right-handed.
thing.
I think that we can agree.
I don't know. Are you? Do you always? I'm a switch hitter, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm much like Bill Clinton, ambidextrous.
There's a print button, Michael.
Yeah, what does that do?
I think this would actually print.
Okay.
on an
Print
old
out a
Mac.
screen for
Yeah,
later.
because say like you start to develop a real situation, feelings, and
Right.
but
for
you
your
have
wallet.
you're going on a cross country trip.
You can't bring your Mac with you.
No.
This is pre MacBook. This is the desk, the little black and white desktop thingy.
Yeah.
And then panic. I just hit panic, and it brings up just a spreadsheet.
Yep.
It says Apple dealers, and it just has some addresses and phone numbers.
Can you actually scroll down, or is it just an image?
No, I think it is just an image. Yeah. So should I maybe try one of these?
Try one of these toys. Tell us
toy
which
box. Let's start with the classic vibrator.
It looks like the vibrator you would see in the 80s. It's a very 80s.
Right.
Like, it's not what you would see today when you would think of a vibrator, but for the 80s, it's exactly. Oh, hey, whoa, that disappears.
Yeah, it goes in there. She doesn't seem to be reacting too much.
I think her breasts are heaving more than they were. Oh,
okay.
She's.
Now we're getting some movement.
Yeah, there's some kicking her legs in a way that can't be comfortable.
Yeah.
It seems like she's just holding herself up with her back hand.
Unfortunately,
little Rockettes.
It's a little Linda Blair doing the crab walk in The Exorcist.
Right. Yeah.
It's like you've pinned a grasshopper onto a board, and the grasshopper's flailing a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's take the. This is the Anal Explorer.
Okay. She seems to like that. More kicking.
And then, of course, there's the helping hands.
Oh, I see what the helping hands help with.
Yeah.
They got the kung fu grip, you might say.
And then I'm just going to pretend that this guy has got a little bit of a foot thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to use the other hand on the foot.
Okay.
It's hard to catch up.
Yeah.
I can't believe that he made over $100,000.
I can totally believe that.
I'm going to pull out the, see what the sex partner. There's Lola.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Oh, hey.
Oh. Lola's getting.
I remember this.
I mean, she's got a vibrator sticking in her eye, but otherwise.
Okay.
Right. When you add a
Mike's
partner, it doesn't remove.
A grippy hand on her buttocks.
I feel like we can remove now that Lola's. So they're 69ing now.
Yeah.
I feel that now that that's happening, I could get the lube out of the way because that's probably going to taste weird. Okay, Lola with fetish ensemble. Okay, this is just.
I know you could give Lola a costume.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now let's see what Melvin looks like.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, Melvin is a little tiny man with an 8-ball who's extra 8-ball head.
An 8-ball
He's
for
extra
a head.
humpy.
He kind of ran off the screen.
He's very excited to be there.
So what is the significance of the 8-ball?
Well, I mean, I don't know. In a lot of ways, McPlaymate, even all these years later, gives more questions than answers.
Yeah.
No.
It is next.
Okay, and then you can just kind of watch her. Basically, this is going through the different motions of with different outfits on. See how many we can fit in here.
It seems like a future doctor's visit to our friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unsafe for Maxie.
And I didn't download this. There's an emulator that you don't even have to download. And I am sorry that I looked everywhere trying to get some audio in order to play put on here, but I really couldn't find any anywhere. So if anybody has any audio.
Well, and I also have to imagine that if anyone actually owns, like you said, it was the most pirated game or one of the most pirated games of all time, and a lot of these old games were, but my guess is that if you have like an original Mac Playmate in box, that's quite the collector's item.
I mean, there is like definitely like a huge market right now for
vintage smut,
old school. Not any, but like a lot of popular just games, like first run games are now like I think if you have like a Mike Tyson's Punch Out in a box, it's worth quite a bit of money. Granted, and that's a game that he doesn't even masturbate in.
So that wraps up another week of the International News Service. Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. We all know what the angels in heaven will be playing when our listeners get there, and that's INS. Check out the INS merch store at Redbubble and our Patreon, and don't forget to check out our subreddit at r/INSpod. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.